The following is an original production of HCC-TV, Howard Community College Television.
In Colombia, a couple's lifelong dream. It's a place where the wine is always flowing and where mom might greet you at the door. Showing off some classic Italian favorites with a few non-traditional twists. We are going table to table with Aida Bistro. Hello and welcome to Table to Table. I'm Vinny Reggae, Program Director of the Center for Hospitality and Culinary Studies at Howard Community College. On each episode of Table to Table, we are going to take you inside one of the most popular restaurants in the community. Then we'll bring you to our table, where you will find out how to create one of the restaurant's signature dishes. This time, we are heading to Aida Bistro, the brainchild of Joe and Mary Barbera. They both quit their long-time jobs to pursue their dream of opening a restaurant and wine bar. The dream came true in Columbia, Maryland, and has lasted for more than a decade.
And on our honeymoon, we had 2 weeks, and we started in Southern California in San Diego, and we went all the way up the coast to St. Helena, north of Napa, and we decided at the end of that trip that someday we wanted to just own this little tiny corner wine bar.
Well, I started off in sales and marketing back in early days of telecommunications. So I was working for a company in Chicago and kind of worked my way up the ladder. And Mary and I moved a few times, traveled quite a bit, wasn't home a lot.
On September 11th, my husband was in Canada. He couldn't fly home, so after a couple of days, I think he was able to get a rental car and had a few days to think about to drive home what he wanted to do. And so he said, okay, well, then I don't want to do this anymore.
We kind of looked around for things to do, and my passion has been food and wine, and I thought, this town really needed a great restaurant with an Italian bend, fresh food, healthful, and also, a higher level of wine knowledge, because back then, wine bars were not that well known or understood.
And when the opportunity came about, Joe said, let's do something that we always wanted to do. And I wasn't always really like, come on, please get your red Porsche,
I knew that he and Mary had talked about having maybe a wine bar with cheese, but never did I expect a restaurant.
I know how he is with his marketing and his business sense, and he believed that it would work. I knew it would work.
And when Joe decided to open up this restaurant, he surprised me by saying, Mom, I'm going to name it Aida.
I thought it was nice because my mom's been a big inspiration, and certainly someone who, didn't even finish high school, raised a family, person who came from immigrant family, gave us all in our family a really strong work ethic. Well, I thought that was a nice way to honor her, and it got her involved in the business. She comes and greets people, sits underneath her picture over to my left, and will be here on Saturday. She'd like to be here every day. When we first got started, she was here. But, at 87 years old, you got to slow down a little bit.
I love it. I really look forward to it for the simple reason that I don't really get out too much. It gives me something to do and meet a lot of people. I love it.
Well, I've always liked to cook. I think that's in my DNA. My grandfather was a great cook. My mother's a great cook. And then the wine part of it is something that I had some interest in outside of college. So
Joe likes to say that I have a good palate, and I always can come up with the spices and the things that are different about different wines, even if it's the same type of grape.
I did notice that the consumption of wine in this country was going up. The interest in wine was skyrocketing, not only with the younger folks, but with middle-aged and some older folks too, who might have been drinking martinis, and now because of the health benefits of red wine, all that was going on at the time, that they wanted to try things. So I think we were at the right place at the right time, but at the same time, people have been enjoying wine for millenniums, and it's just a matter of the change in the wine industry allowing people to think they could go into a store and buy a wine and enjoy it and not have to spend a lot of money to set it down for 10 or 15 years. That intimidates people. With a younger group, it's best to have a chance for them to taste things so they can actually, try a wine. They don't have to commit to a whole bottle. If you like something, stick with it, know why you like it, and if you tell me you like it, I'll find some other things for you to try. And then you can decide. If you like Chardonnay, then maybe I can taste you on some Viognier. If you like Sauvignon Blanc, maybe we can try Albarino. You like Cabernet, maybe we can try Syrah. So just want to try to give people a chance to broaden their experience.
When my customers come in and they're like, oh, you have 30 wines on tap, and how do you know them all apart? I said, it's just really good grape juice. Really good grape juice. And when you find the grape juice that you like to drink, that's a good thing.
Mary and I talked about the ultimate wine bar. Like, what is happening in the business that is going to make the vision of making it educational, fun, giving people a chance to try things, giving people a chance to course wine so that they don't have to be buying bottles and bringing them home or over drinking or over serving.
When we would serve wine, we would have 50 wines by the glass. We'd have a lot of wine that would be open. Sometimes we'd have to take it home at night, oh darn, or put it in the kitchen, oh darn, to cook with. But there was a lot of waste, and we really saw that.
So we wanted a chance to be able to give people an experience that kind of matched our food, because we do a lot of prefix. So our prefix allows us to try things, bring them into the restaurant, offer 3 savory courses, but we wanted wines to go along with it.
And when we found out somebody in Atlanta that was doing this wine on tap, we looked into it and we became very excited because we knew in this new location we could do something just as well, if not better, than what they were doing down there.
We visited, liked the experience, liked the demographics, the people who came in, saw some great potential here, and came back and changed our architectural plan for this and built the wine room into a wine on tap room.
Every year we go to many of our wineries. We do a number of trips throughout the year. So over the course of that time, when we're getting ready to move here, we did a couple of trips, buying trips as we say, and we would take our little PowerPoint presentation and tell them what we were thinking of doing, and what we would ask them to do was fill these kegs that we would provide for them to take the upfront cost down and just run with it and see if we could do that in our new location. We had a number of winemakers that believed in it, thought, had a relationship with us, so they didn't think we were too crazy.
We were diving into that pool whether it had water or not. And so, it was either going to work or we were going to have the most expensive beer system in the county. So we're here in Aida Bistro's wine room. We have 30 wines on tap. When we first started in the business, we opened the restaurant in December of 2010 with 8 wines tapped. And I thought, because it's a new concept, it's going to take a little bit of time to get it going. Well, 3 months later, we had 20 taps full, so we were tapped out. And 3 months after that, we added 10 more behind me, 4 whites and 6 reds. So the system is fairly simple, but at the same time, it has to be designed for wine. So we've had one question from customers as well as people asking about it, saying, hey, can I take my existing beer system and make it work? And the answer is no. The tubing is different. The infrastructure that we use is different. Everything has to be stainless steel or glass. You can't use copper, you can't use brass. The nice thing about wine is that it's fairly acidic. So from a pH perspective, it's not the same as beer that might have issues with lines and bacteria and sugars in the line. We take very good care to clean the lines on a regular basis because we don't want anything to cause the experience to be anything less than fantastic. So the nitrogen is taken out of the air. We have a nitrogenator that will take that, store it in a tank in the kitchen. We then send it back here to push the wine out. So the red lines are nitrogen and the white or red lines that you see are either the white wine or the red wine. We add about 22% CO2 to keep the wine fresh. When we first built the system, we didn't use CO2, but that was something that they said we needed to do. These kegs come from the winery. So you can see there's a whole different assortment of different types of kegs. The most important thing about the product is that the winery fills it It goes into what we call suspended animation because it doesn't get any oxygen until you actually put it in your glass and it starts oxidizing it. And it maintains its freshness from the very first to the last drop. Because wineries are now starting to become more comfortable with this, the number of people who are offering kegged wine has really grown almost exponentially for us. If I had 50 taps, I could do 50 wines. So we have a lot of wineries that are getting involved with it. I talked to a winemaker today who wants to do a pilot with us, a very, very big Napa producer of Cabernet who's been doing this for 30 or 40 years, wants to do a pilot with us to do his Grenache and his Cabernet. So we have people very interested in getting started in this business to see how it works and operates.
We've got wines from Virginia, we have wines from New York, we have a lot of California wines because that's where a lot of our relationships started and began in. We're actually finding that we're able to get some European wines that are coming on large containers, and then they're coming onto the East Coast in filling stations, and then they'll be kegged here on U.S. soil.
And I'm glad to see that that pie gets bigger and bigger and bigger, which means that the more wineries that do it, the better selection I have, the more people who also will then invest in the system, and kind of demystify this whole wine on tap thing.
We've just had some legislation that got passed this year, and as of July 1st, we are actually legislature's gone through where we're actually able to sell our wine on tap in our own Aida bottles. Like for us, this is a fun thing that I have a lot of corporate customers that come in for lunch, and I'm like, when we get this on, you need to think of us for Christmas gift giving. We'll do a blend for you, for your company. The sky is really the limit.
They've come up with a lot of good recipes. Some are, started off being mine.
Obviously, I love Italian food. Was weaned on that, and if there was any one genre of food I understood well was Italian food. And that was just the opportunity. There really was no great Italian restaurant in Howard County, not outside the chains, and I thought we had a great chance because this community will support local businesses.
Well, we have a core portion of the menu, some of the Italian items that we opened up with that have been consistent over our 11-year existence. They continue to stay around. We do change them slightly, and we do change them seasonally. As far as the rest of the menu, it changes not just seasonally, but everything gets addressed on a weekly basis.
I think what I've seen happen over the last 3 or 4 years is that because of the food channel, you have a lot of folks that are more interested than ever in food and how it works. So their level of expectation rises. The most important thing is that they understand that we're trying to provide them with a great product at a fair price and expand their horizons. So to try things they may not be able to make themselves. So one of the things we went back and forth on early on was, should we make lasagna? Well, everybody makes lasagna. And my lasagna is going to be better than your grandmother's if you're Italian, or the one that you had when you were in Rome. And it's like, we don't need to do cliche Italian food, but we do want to have a core of fresh product that utilizes the fresh pastas we've been making since we opened 12 years ago, and giving people a chance to try things they can't normally make. When we built this, we wanted to do a chef's table, and the chefs that we have are excellent with people. We wanted to give people an experience they couldn't get anywhere else. So we put room and built a table in the kitchen. It allows for up to 4 people to come in and have what we call dinner and a show. So they come in, have a 6 to 8 course menu, specially prepared for them, and then also wines paired with each meal. Chefs love it. They have a great time. They really do. They have a great time. The more interactive, the better. You'd think maybe chefs are really busy and they don't want to talk to people. No, they want to talk to people. They want to interact.
Normally, when you do what I do, you're locked behind a wall, and customer interaction is hard to come by. You rely on your staff to be able to explain how the customer is reacting to your creations or dishes. The nice thing with the chef's table is you're able to ask them yourself. You take the third party out, and you're also able to ask that secondary or follow-up question. If you ask them, how was everything, and they said it was good, you're able to ask, well, why was it good? It's really helpful for us in menu creation to be able to talk to customers like that.
When we opened the restaurant, I was working for the church then, and then when we were getting ready to expand the business, when we expanded across the street, and then looking forward to our second location, my husband said, you need to come work for me.
Well, she might have had some pause because I'm not the easiest person to work for because I am pretty demanding, first of myself and then of others. When you work with someone who you've been married to for over 30 years, it has its challenges, but it's no different than any other relationship you have. You have to establish an open relationship and make sure that, in a business, you treat the person the same way you treat any other person in business. Easier said than done. I love having her here. She adds value in ways that I don't. She's very involved with staff. She's very involved with how we created this restaurant here 3 years ago, the colors, the design.
Well, I had a lot of fun when we designed the restaurant. We have a very gold palette in here. We want to be comfortable. We want people really to feel, again, like they're dining in our dining room. We wanted to go with very earthy tones, so that's why we have our bars, the wood tables that we have in here. We didn't want to be too fancy and stuffy with tablecloths, and so everything is a wood trimmed. Even in our dining rooms are wood trimmed. I love our ceiling in our dining room. If you had looked in there, it's lots of different drum lights. But when I met with the lighting person, I said I kind of see like a cloud. Kind of like bringing the outside inside. We highlight a lot of our local artists in the dining room. Every quarter we have a new group that comes in. It's been really fun. In the last couple of years, working with your husband, everybody can't do it. I didn't know if I wanted to do it, but I am enjoying it, and it's been really nice to see as our children have grown. Everybody's worked in the business for some point or another in their careers as well, and it's been a great opportunity for them to get to see their mom and dad working together.
Well, I have been successful in most everything I've done in my life. And I started working at a restaurant when I was 15 years old. I was a young waiter at Howard Johnson's working with older housewives. They were probably in their mid-20s at the time, but I was 15. And I was working there and making $4 an hour when my friends were making $1 an hour. And I needed to save the money so I could go to the Loyola Academy, which is a private Jesuit high school in Chicago, where I grew up. So I paid for my whole high school education. So at an early age, I recognized the value of money and also the value of good work. And the second thing is that, I learned a lot by working with people in the restaurant business, and you learn about hospitality and how to deal with people and how to deal with difficult situations. I think the thing that surprised me the most was how much people in the restaurant business either had one skill or the other. And that's why a lot of great restaurants with a lot of great chefs or great front of the house people fail, is because they don't have it all. The most important thing you can do when you're starting a business is hire the best people you can afford. I learned that a long, long time ago. And that's not that you have to have all the answers, it's that you have to be able to ask the right questions and have people that can answer them for you.
A lot of our employees have been with us for a long time. They've become, these young people become our family.
For us, it's like a family experience, is that when they come in, it's like, you know somebody, or you can say hi, or you can talk, or one of the servers or the bartender or one of the owners or mom herself, will come by and say hi or talk to you or make you feel like, you're part of the family.
When people come here, they're coming here because of a couple of different reasons. They're coming here to fill their bellies, but they're also coming for an experience, and they're coming to be not so much entertained, but they're just coming to be nourished, not just with the food. We can nourish them with wine as well, and if we can nourish them with friendships, well then, if you've got good food, good friends, and good wine, that's heaven on earth.
When I have customers coming in, it's like them walking into my home. It truly is wonderful.
Next, we are moving from Joe and Mary's table to our table, the Howard Community College kitchen, with Aida Bistro's executive chef, Sean Riggs.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Table. I'm Vinny Reggae, Program Director of the Center for Hospitality and Culinary Studies at Howard Community College. We just paid a visit to Aida Bistro, a unique restaurant and wine bar in Colombia. We are now joined by Aida Bistro's executive chef, Sean Riggs, and Justin Horner, culinary student at Howard Community College. So what are we going to be making today, chef?
Today we're going to be making gnudi, a ricotta cheese version of gnocchi.
Well, look forward to tasting that.
All right. In order to make gnudi, first we have to start by making the dough. The dough consists of ricotta cheese, all-purpose flour, Parmesan cheese, egg, a little bit of salt, and white pepper. What we're going to do is we're going to mix all our ingredients together, just simply. We have to be careful not to overmix it or we'll create too much gluten, which will make the next step a little bit cumbersome. Next, we're going to allow this to rest in a refrigerator wrapped for about 2 hours. Once we've allowed our dough to rest, it's going to be much firmer in texture. What we're going to do to roll it out is cut ourselves a little piece. Got it, Justin. We're going to start by rolling it into a log. There you go, looking good. Then we're going to roll it out on the table so that it gets thinner. At this stage is when we talked about earlier how the gluten would not be our friend, where it'd be too rubbery, it would just spring right back. So starting from the middle and working your way out, you're going to create a thinner log. Then we're going to cut them into about 3/4 inch pieces. Next, we're going to take a fork. They make other tools for this, little boards as well, but I prefer just to use a fork. And in front of us, we have a sheet tray that's been dusted with semolina flour. On the fork, we're going to put our dough, push it into the tines, and finish rolling. When it's complete, it should have these little ridges as well as a crack along the back. Use your imagination. The purpose for this shape is to help hold the sauce. Little ridges, as you'll find in many different types of pasta. There are traditional types of pasta that have different shapes to hold different sauces. In the restaurant, we do quite a few different pasta dishes. We do make everything from scratch. We do different versions of pasta, including making our own ravioli, as well as cut pastas like spaghetti and linguine, fettuccine, etc. We also make different flavored pastas from time to time, spinach, sun-dried tomato, whole wheat pasta as well. This particular dish we currently have running in the restaurant right now with the exact same preparation that we're going to show today. However, we have run many different preparations, from braised rabbit in the fall to seafood in the summer. Today we're going to do something that's a little bit more traditional with a type of bolognese sauce with some meat and onions and peppers, tomato based. Now we're going to take our gnudi and we're going to add them to water. Try to add them one at a time so that they don't stick together when they get in the bottom. And while our gnudis are cooking, we're going to make our sauce. Go ahead. A little bit of oil. Go ahead. Some Genoa salami. Green bell pepper. Diced onion. This is a quick sauce we're making, not meant to taste like a sum of its parts, rather the parts, more like a salad. Once we've allowed onions and peppers to sweat a little bit, we are going to add a mixture of fresh tomatoes, stewed tomatoes, veal stock, fresh basil, fresh oregano, and garlic. We're going to check our sauce for seasoning, add a little bit of salt. Finish it off. We like to do this at the end because as we reduce the sauce, you can get saltier as it goes. Our nudis have swelled up. They're floating. We know they're done. Go ahead and take them out, Justin. As far as how much of each ingredient to add, we want to kind of keep a ratio as to how much we're making. You're making 4 pieces of nudie, very small appetizer plate, versus an entree, versus something you might be doing family style. You will adjust accordingly. So we're going to add our nudie. Turn the heat up a little bit. Allow the sauce to come together. When you add pastas to a sauce, you're going to continue to thicken your sauce because of the starch that's left in the pasta. Right at the very end, we're going to add some fresh diced tomatoes. Watch your heat. There we go. Ready to plate. For plating, we're just going to spoon out the nudie. Finish with some of the sauce that we've made. We're going to garnish with fresh oregano that's already in the base sauce, but adding it fresh at the end helps sharpen the flavor of the herb. Fresh basil chiffonade. Parmesan Reggiano. There you are.
This is great. I'm just going to take a bite.
Please.
Is there any particular type of wine that you would recommend with this?
Italian wines, obviously. Tuscan Sangiovese blends would work with this.
Excellent. Well, thank you for experiencing Aida Bistro with us. For Table to Table, I'm Vinny Reggae. To learn more about the Center for Hospitality and Culinary Studies, go to our website, howardcc.edu/hospitality. If you like this program, like us on Facebook at HCC Digital Network.